We'd like to start off, Eric, understanding a little bit where you come from, but going back in time. Are you from Switzerland? Were you born here?
Yeah. So thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure, and I'm really happy to see so many people interested in cleaning. Didn't know. So yes, originally I'm from Paris. I came to Switzerland 8 years ago now. It's been, so I lived 3 years in Geneva, 3 years in Lausanne, and now it's 2.5 years in Zurich. And by far that's the best city, so if you live in Zurich, be happy. From an entrepreneurial point of view, and as well from personal development, that's the best. My co-founder and the headquarters of the company are in Lausanne. So we are I'm the Swiss-German co-founder, and I'm developing all the business for the Swiss-German part, but as well for the whole company. But being here in a smaller office than in Lausanne, it helps me to do some deep work that I cannot do with our 50 employees in Lausanne. So.
Okay. And when you were a kid, when you were growing up, did you think one day you would have your own company?
Yeah, definitely. Like my room was like a shop. I was selling already things to my older brothers and stuff from the start. So I've always been into business really from the start. Mm-hmm. After the graduation, after the business school, I started as a physical commodity trader at Louis Dreyfus in Geneva for 2 years. Then I realized that I'm not an intrapreneur, like being in a big corporation and doing things and waiting 15 years to maybe have the pleasure to feel the pleasure of doing things by yourself. Right. So I just went to Africa to set up a commodity business there. I had a lot of in Abidjan and overall Ivory Coast.
How old were you at that time?
It was after it was around 26, yes. Okay. Yeah. And then didn't go well at all. I had troubles with some co-founders there, and I faced the reality of Africa. Learned a lot about African entrepreneurs. We have a lot of things to learn from them. I have a lot of admiration for them. And then when I came back to Switzerland, I had an old Swiss beer pong friend, Andreas, and we met when I arrived in Switzerland. And he told me he traveled to he was in the US and he tried handy.com, and we got all the inspiration from handy.com at the start, but we calibrated the model in Switzerland so that it's now Batmaid. Okay. So the story is that he called me one weekend, and after this moment I stayed with him and I quitted my job. I was back into the commodity business in Switzerland. And things happened really quick.
So, what's the elevator pitch for Batmaid? What's
the one that I did already thousands of times? Okay, I'm gonna do it.
So who knows what Batmaid is? Did everyone find out? Almost everyone knows.
Who is a client?
So there's a new client from today.
I hope to convert now.
So I just heard a really cool story. Someone got an invitation to the event today and thought, oh, let's check this out, and tried it out, and actually had someone come and was super happy with the service today. So great. You got a new client from that. Yeah, so in one sentence, Batmaid is the first platform in Switzerland to book your cleaning lady insured and declared in less than 60 seconds. We are basically have a win-win-win-win model, meaning that we generate a lot of extra revenues for the state because we fight against the black market. B2C market is 1 billion in Switzerland, and the black market is 80% of this. So our DNA or why is really the Batman, the Dark Knight fighting against the black market. So we generate extra revenue. We create thousands of jobs in Switzerland. Right now, we have 1,500 cleaners, and we take them out of the black market. We pay them a higher salary, and we provide a lower price for customers
because of we digitalized everything, and we have a completely innovative legal business model.
Okay.
So
How does it differ from Quit, for example?
So with quit.ch, you have a cleaning lady, and you can declare her in a few clicks. In a few clicks.
So if you already
But
have one.
Exactly. And with us, you combine the fact that we have a pool of pre-selected cleaners. We do 2 to 3 interview rounds, and then we make sure that they are qualified enough to be selected as a Batmaid. Then we open the platform to them. And then they add their availabilities and the postcodes in which they are happy to work, and then it starts. But like, it's not a pure sharing economy. It's not like peer-to-peer. It's a peer to selected peers.
Okay. So your co-founder, Andreas, he came to you one day and said, I have this crazy idea. What made you believe in that idea?
I didn't believe in the idea. Like, I was into like physical commodity trading. I needed the market. I was passionate about Africa, about commodities. And during the first hours, I was like, are you crazy? I have nothing to do with cleaning ladies. Like, come on, like, it's such a, I'm okay, but it's like, it's such a big gap. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but not in this field, you know? But then this was not all about cleaning ladies. It was a Uberization of the economy and about creating a marketplace. So of course, it's really, really interesting. And in 2 days, we found the idea and the accurate, we had the vision of how it should be, and right now, it's exactly how we first imagined it at the start.
Okay. So that's a pretty unique, because most companies, most ideas have many iterations to get it right.
Yes.
So my understanding is that your story, or the way you tell it, is that it was a 2-day startup, basically within 2 days.
Well, look, you know, you have the missionaries and the mercenaries. In our case, we were not like missionaries. We were like really doing, at the very start, a copycat of Handy. And you can do this for all startups in the US. You have a 3 years time lag between what's being done in Switzerland and the US. You can do a lot of things like this. But we were successful in the sense that we managed to calibrate the model. And the key point here is that cleaning ladies cannot be self-employed in Switzerland. So we didn't want to be the employer. So we had to find a new model. And the fact that we turned the client into the employer without them noticing was the key to our business model and our competitive pricing and everything.
And so after those first 2 days, how long did it take? What was, from idea to execution for you to actually found a company, start building a website, start interviewing the first maids?
So look, I think I always say there are 3 things. You have ideas, there was nothing. You have the execution, it's worth a lot. And beyond that, you have the ecosystem. And after these 2 days where we brainstormed, where we check a little bit on Google, cleaning ladies, Zurich or whatever, for just like, this was our market research, really. Like, we didn't overthink. We just did it. After this idea phase, we managed to execute extremely quickly. We were in an intense state of, in the same flow. And we managed to build an ecosystem around us by meeting the future stakeholders of Batmaid. In like maybe a few months, we met maybe 500 people. It can be like any people that could help us to build the company. And this was the start of our ecosystem, because then we were surrounded by people who already knew that we were coming.
Okay. And, like you said earlier, your dream of being an entrepreneur did not involve maids. How did you turn this not so sexy concept into one of the fastest growing startups in Switzerland?
It's just a matter of about showing the time you can save. Initially, that was our why. Like, we wanted to show the time you can save by not doing the cleaning yourself or by finding a cleaning lady yourself. Here, you can do it in 60 seconds on the platform, so that's pretty quick. And so people, they saw us as a lifestyle company initially, and as like, and then in the end, it's really a societal project because we do fight against the black market, and we help thousands of people all around Switzerland.
Okay. And how do you, from a trust perspective, because you're getting people that you don't know coming into your apartment to clean,
Yes.
how do you show that kind of trust to new clients?
You know, like at the beginning, everyone told us, look, you know, in all the incubators in Switzerland, don't do this, it will never work. Swiss people will never open the door to someone they found online. And so, but I think Swiss people are a little bit American, then, you know, it's like they trust enough for us to launch the business, and people are more and more open to digitalization. So we are, I think, surfing on the right wave.
Okay. Nice. And you personally, you have a few different interests, so it's not just Batmaid.
Yes. So of course I learned a lot. I learned a lot with Batmaid, you know, in terms of like how you build a platform, and because it's Batmaid is above all a tech company. We don't see it because it looks simple, but we have a team of 12 developers in Warsaw, and if you see what's behind the platform, it's huge, and it's a very, very, very complex IT project. So I learned a lot on the tech side. I learned a lot about management of myself, management of other people, and now I have like multiple interests. I'm involved in many different activities like and startups. But my new baby is into biohacking, or what we call personalized health, where we can take your DNA, your blood, and some data about you, and we can give you, we can digitalize your blood biomarkers, your results online, and then we give you ultra personalized recommendation about your health, and you can master the evolution of your biomarkers, and you can reach your personalized health goals, like I want a better sleep, I want a higher sex drive, I want more strength, I want to be more focused, more mindful. And I think this is a strong statement, but this wave of biohacking will be bigger than blockchain, bigger than AI, bigger than anything, because we are really at the beginning, but people, they want to take back control of their health data and want to make something of it.
Where are you? What stage are you in that? Is it still research or concept?
We have built, we're starting to build a board of top-notch European advisors in the field. We are recruiting still, like, you know, CXO positions for this project. So if anyone interested into biohacking personalized health with a PhD from ETH or EPFL or any other European university, I invite anyone to contact me. And so we are really at the beginning. We are building the tech right now, discussing with some lab in order to extract the blood in the right manner. Okay. This is not painful for you, of course.
So besides Batmaid, biohacking, you also are co-founder of the largest co-working space in Switzerland. How did that happen?
Yes, actually we were looking for an office space for Batmaid in Lausanne, and we had like 2,500 square meters. It was too big for, we were 12 employees when we were looking for this office. And then we had the idea to turn the rest of the space into a co-working, but not like any other co-working that you can see right now in Zurich or all around Switzerland. It's mushrooming. We want to be at the center of the cities, next to the stations, with top-notch furniture and a very, very strong network. We have every week like top-notch CEOs pitching and really dedicated co-workers. Yes, with accessible price.
Okay. So with these different focuses or these different areas that you're involved in, how do you stay focused, or how do you focus on these different projects? And because you have to divide your attention between so many big engagements.
I think it's a matter of being in the flow. We had the mindfulness session like before, and being in the flow is the most important quality for an entrepreneur. Is leveraging on the power of now, being in the moment, and it's super hard. Right now, if I see people in the room, and if I see myself We may be together 80%, but we are not fully here. We have like thoughts from our feelings from the past. We are anxious about the future. And we are building permanently. We have a self-talk building our ego that is always here and that is removing us from the present. And when you're in the flow, there is only the activity you're working on that counts. And I think reaching this level, this stage is really key to succeed. And when you're in flow with your team and with your co-founders, you can really achieve a lot.
Speaking of team members, what do you look for when you're hiring someone for your team? Are you the one who's doing the hiring? And how did it go from, because first it was just you and your co-founder, and then you probably hired the first 2 or 3 people.
Yes.
Now you have 12 developers and probably a team of 15, 20?
So I have 50 employees internally and 1,500 cleaning employees. Yeah. So that we recruit with the same process, with like interview rounds and stuff. And
so for many people here who are starting or who have young companies, it's easy when it's the first few people, but then as you get bigger, how do you maintain the culture?
It's like at the beginning that's super hard. No one wanted to join us. We are here we are here in the room with my co-founder, and we had the idea. It was here. It was in the cloud. And it's super. You cannot do anything with this. You need credibility. And when you have nothing behind other than a corporate experience, I think that's the problem that many would-be entrepreneurs are facing. They are here with the idea and they don't know where to start. It's just so at the start it was hard. Now it's way easier. People are applying, or interns. We have good relationships with all schools in Switzerland, so it's really easier to recruit.
But then from your side, from a culture perspective, or from like what you were saying before about being in the flow, about mindfulness, about maintaining the spirit of startup as you get bigger and bigger.
I think we are looking above all for people being hands-on, willing to put their hand in the dirt. That's really key. My co-founder and I, we are really hands-on. We know everything what's going on in the company. And I think this is a culture we want to give, because when you are hands-on, you master the thing, and if people are reluctant to do even the small tasks, then it's not a good sign. So we like people who did like some small jobs before and who are humble enough to be polyvalent, to do small tasks. In a startup, you need to really be open to that.
And what's one of the biggest challenges you faced in building Batmaid?
Well, at the beginning it was the IT, because we were outsourcing the IT in the Philippines, and it was a nightmare. It was a real nightmare. So we had big tensions with one of the development company, and so we internalized everything after 6 months. To make it robust, and now we have it's our employees. We are safe, and we have an amazing CTO. So it was a big challenge, because we launched the product, we launched the MVP. It was working. We had the first clients, and we were on the verge of like paying another platform, and it would have been the end of Batmaid. So it was the biggest risk. Now we have to manage with some technical debt, but that's normal in any IT project, and that's a big challenge. Yes.
And
I mean, if I can add, like the current challenge right now we have is of course reaching our goals, and we want to reach 100 million turnover by 2021. So if we do this, we'll be the fastest growing startup in Switzerland, in the internet sector by far, and in most European countries. This is really big, but we are managing to acquire more and more customers, and we are really good at finding creative offline marketing.
Okay. For example?
For instance, we are a sponsor of the 20 biggest sport events in Switzerland. We have Batmaid beans that we take them everywhere on the racetrack and everywhere, and this offers us a great visibility, and we do the cleaning in return. Okay. So yeah.
Nice.
But I have many other examples, like like we are in the schools, in primary schools, we distribute Batmaid comics with the Batmaid hero. And now we're going to open Batmaid shops all around Switzerland in prime locations, so that people can enter, and like in an Apple store, they can book their cleaning lady online on one side as client, and as employees or would-be employees, they can be recruited on the other side. So yeah, we want to be digital but close to people.
Okay. So you have pretty much it is a double-sided marketplace. You know, you need supply and demand. You need the clients, the people hiring, and you need the maids. And starting off at the beginning, it's the typical chicken and egg. You know, the maids want clients. They want to know that they're going to get clients, and the clients want to know that they're going to get enough people in their area. How did you?
So we simply started on the supply side. We had enough maids in given postcode. We started with Geneva and Lausanne. By the way, 20 men and 20 women. And the women turned out to be way better. Okay, so this is why I call them, and we call them cleaning ladies, because like 99% of them are cleaning ladies. But the 1% of men are amazing. Okay, and so we started with like having a good supply so that we can face any spike of demand. And now we have a good visualization on the data. We can check where we are missing maids, and we can anticipate the demand. And so, yeah.
Is there a big difference in Batmaid and Gotham, the co-working space, from the business perspective and the day-to-day?
Yeah, it's nothing to compare. Like it's. With Batmaid, we have like a kind of unlimited upside in terms of selling, because we are in a 1 billion Swiss franc market. If you add the B2B, maybe 4 or 5 billion. If you add all the services we want to digitalize, you add another maybe 4 or 5 billions, and we are alone as true digitalized player. So the upside is nearly unlimited for us. It's just a matter of raising fund and doing marketing. For Gotham, it's when you need to, at some point, when you do a lot of events, when the occupancy rate of all the rooms are at 100%, you need to build to find another location to open a new co-working. So I would say it's less exciting. But just to come back on the business model of Batmaid, what we do here is unique in the sense that it's a vertical marketplace, not horizontal marketplace. And so it means that it's hard work, because we pre-select all the maids in advance. We declare and insure the cleaning ladies for you clients, and then we have customer support. With Anibi's Home Service 24, for instance, it's horizontal marketplaces. They are just sitting here, and they are just watching the bookings. Just they put in contact the supply with the demand, but they don't retain customers. And we have the highest retention rates in the world, having compared with all other Batmaids in other countries, like by far, because we have this model and we take care of customers. We have hotel DNA, and we really leave nothing to chance to provide good service to customers. So this is why it's really difficult, but yeah. By the way, this is something we share with Gotham. Gotham as well, for our co-workers, we're always here, and we try to keep the same DNA.
And what's one of the biggest lessons you've learned along the way of building Batmaid?
I think it's to fire really, really early, because we had some people that we kept for too long. And sometimes it's good to really move fast, but sometimes you need them, so it's a terrible truth.
And what advice would you give to a young Eric, to a young you?
Never outsource IT. I think it's the first. It was a nightmare. We did some stupid mistake at the start, like buying domain name at batmans.com at $2,000, stupid stuff that, when you have you need the global vision, you know. And at the beginning, you do things. You're two people in a room, and you don't know if you do the right decision or not. So it would be to always like being cold-blooded and seeing things from the top, which is super hard.
And what advice would you give to other founders or would-be founders, entrepreneurs wanting to start up?
But I think Nike was right. Just fucking do it. I think it's the things like you really, really need to just execute, right? And before that, as I said, being in the right ecosystem. Like some projects you cannot launch in some places, that's all. You need to find the right market and the right people. And here in Europe, it's super hard. It's way harder than in the US. It takes way more time to meet all the stakeholders you want to have. But overall, if you manage to do this in Europe, it's a very good training. Yeah.
Do you have funding for Batmaid, VC funding?
Yes, everyone wants to invest. Yeah. But I'm happy to see more and more people investing so that I have the best deal ever.
Would you advise other people to take funding or to try to bootstrap?
Well, that's a very good question. For Switzerland, it really depends on the business. Because if you grow too quickly, if you raise too much fund, I'm always scared about wasting the cash. Like you always, like when you have too much, you always waste on useless stuff. With Batmaid, or like the use of the capital we have is amazing. We make sure that every franc spent had the maximum of impact given the knowledge we had at the time. So it's really important to do it progressively in a certain pace. Otherwise, you just get diluted for nothing. So.
Okay. If someone has a question, would like to ask something, we'll also be taking questions. We have a microphone, so we'll be sure to do that. I have one more question before we go to the audience, since we were talking about funding. Do you have an exit strategy?
I mean, we will exit if it brings value for the maids and our employees. Like if
Because you don't want to change the culture, you don't want to just...
Exactly, exactly. So if a firm like ISS someday buys us, they of course it needs to be a good fit. It needs to be able. They need to be able to grow Batmaid at a higher stage. But right now, I mean, it's not on our agenda. Yeah.
How do you see that? So, because you also are an investor yourself, and as soon as someone takes some kind of investment, whether from VC, from angel, you need to start thinking about an exit opportunity, whether it's M&A, an exit, or...
Well, most of the time you need to have faith. In some startups, you really need to have faith. But of course, we cannot guarantee things. Our current investors at Batmaid, they are with us, they understand us, and they have faith in us. They don't ask for a multiple. We're lucky enough to avoid VCs. And for most projects, you can start in Switzerland if you can be surrounded by business angels. That's the best, really. Don't go for VCs in Switzerland unless you have an international project and you need like serious amount of capital. Like business angels, they sometimes bring you all the support, smart money. They have very experience, so we are really...
A lot more value to add besides just the money.
Yes.
Okay. Joel?
So,
it's for the recording.
thanks. Yeah, my name's Joel. A few weeks ago, I was in Gotham for a workshop, and I took the little tour. The person at the desk, I was a little early, showed me around, and I saw the big
Batman,
whatever,
yeah,
Batman, yeah.
Batman, yeah.
And I believe she told me that the two of these sort of started at the same time, Batmaid and Gotham, and that Gotham was a converted post office building or warehouse. And so I was curious when you mentioned, because I'm curious about getting something started, and there's nothing harder than having a huge potential and knowing it. I mean, copying a known business model, and not enough cash to do what you need to do. And so I'm curious, was it a family sort of situation with you called them private investors, but angel investors, I think you called them, that you already had on board to do like the property deal with the Post and then your startup? A lot of capital intensive enterprise was started, it seemed to me, and it was a fantastic space, by the way. You've done a marvelous job creating that co-working space. So just curious about that,
So,
early days.
First, like Batmaid started in my co-founder's flat. We were at some point 12 people, so he was waking up in the morning and the 12 people were here on computers. So for 1 year and a half, we started Batmaid. Then after Gotham came, it was a different story already. We already had the traction, and as we know, traction trumps everything. So it was easier to be mindful with other projects. And then we met 2 other co-founders for Gotham, and they had the contacts in the real estate, notably with the SBB, the train stations. And of course, we had access to these prime locations in the city centers. And even though we put a bit of equity, they put more equity than us, so it was easier. Yeah.
So it's important to have good collaborators when you have a costly endeavor to embark on.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Thanks for the presentation, Eric. It was really impressive. Quick question. So you mentioned a lot of retention of customers, right? I grew up in South Africa, and there's a new similar business model now exploding, and I was there a month ago.
Sweep.
Yeah. And I've used it for the first time. It was super impressive. It was really good. But how do you sort of ensure that you retain your cleaning ladies? Because in South Africa, I know a lot of my friends would go with South Sweep and then get in contact with the cleaning ladies, and if they like them enough, it goes the other way, right? How do you ensure retaining your employees?
So it's funny because I met the founder of South Sweep, and her model is really to recruit in unemployment agencies a lot. And so the maids are not necessarily staying because they're looking in the end for 100% job, things that we cannot guarantee. In our case, from the start, if she's looking for 100%, we say, sorry, we cannot guarantee. It's not for you. It's just you need to work in a hotel and work at Batmaid, for instance. And then why are we not shortcuts? And the reason is that the clients, they hate to do the paperwork themselves. And the new generation of cleaning ladies, they want to stay in Switzerland, they have families, and they will never go back to Portugal or whatever. So they want to be declared and they want to have a safer future. And we bring this to them. So it was on both sides. The clients, no paperwork, and the maids, they want a more stable future.
I have a more personal question. You mentioned before that you think entrepreneurs should be hands-on and they should have dirty hands. So if you look at the history of Airbnb, the founder was meeting customers to understand their needs and to interview them and so on. So did you do anything related to actually cleaning yourself to understand how the market was done? Did you go and clean yourself once or more than once?
I will be completely honest with you, okay? Yes and no. Yes, because my co-founder did it. He took courses for 3 months. He has the diploma of cleaning lady. And he really did it. Then, of course, the first days of Batmaid, when we had some no-shows, he went first. And then when we had the other no-shows, then I went. The quality was not as good, but it was okay. It was okay. So I did it, but I didn't take any course. My co-founder was the guy into the cleaning. But being hands-on is way more than that, but it's a good question.
Hi, I'm your new client. So I'm satisfied. Thank you for the. How did you come up with the name? Because the story was that they sent me the connection for this event, and I said, okay, this is not a coincidence. I've been looking for a maid. This is the way. But I also saw post a flyer or And I
Billboards,
thought,
yeah.
God, that name is so great because that means the maid just comes, goes, and I have nothing to do with it, like a bat. But you said it was Batman. Yeah?
But please tell this to Swiss German people because it's hard to make them understand that it's a play on words and they don't see sometimes the relationship between. So it's basically like we actually met a lot of marketing agencies at the start in Lausanne just to get ideas. It was free. It's a good trick if you want to launch a. So we met like maybe 10 different agencies, big ones, and we got a lot of ideas and we did everything internally. And at some point, we always remember we were discussing the name with one marketer, and we said, "Yeah, what about like Batmaid?" And he said, "Wow, Batmaid, that's your DNA." And he had again 3 meters tall Batman in the entrance and stuff. Yeah, and we're like, "Okay, let's do it." So finding a name is all about finding a name that you can memorize. It doesn't go, and that is like short and pleasant to hear, but otherwise like doesn't matter really.
No, for me, it was amazing. That's like 20% of the reason because it gave me
That's
the
interesting.
idea that I had nothing to do with the maid. I didn't have to worry about it. It just came and went.
That's
So that helped. And then but my real question is, how did you, when you said you met with starting, you met with 500 people, 400 people that would help you? How did you identify that network? And then how did you just go and knock the door? I have an idea with these maids. I mean, or was it connections?
It's the process of startup creation itself, meaning that you need an accountant to set up your business. I mean, to make you grow. Then you will meet 10 accountants, and you will retain the best. You need maybe a marketing agency. You meet 10 marketing agencies, and then you retain the best. And we did this for a lot of players, including public players. I sat with like 26 social compensation offices in the 26 cantons, discussing this partnership and being technologically integrated with them. I can tell you it is sometimes like a real challenge. So by meeting all these people, it should be part of the project itself. Some is because you need to set up the company, you need the support functions. Some because it's really related to what you want to do.
Was there a time, either with Batmaid, that you guys had what felt like a major failure, or was there another startup that you started, or another time in your life where you had a major failure, and how did you bounce back from that?
Well, it's failure all the time, every day. We fail. It's a general answer, but we spend our time failing and learning, and because we are never optimized, we can do even better. So, concrete example, to be honest, really, with the Batmaid project, to be completely transparent with you, we had a lot of challenges and a lot of obstacles, but it went in the end exactly as we had in mind at the start. So it was kind of smooth because we put the energy and the pain in it. So if you accept really high pain threshold, then you can achieve anything. It's just that.
And before that, was there any other initiatives that you had, or any other ideas that you tried?
In Africa, it was a pure mess, but it was Africa. So problems with co-founders, not the same vision, problems with the local people. I mean, you need to really be African to make business in Africa, to become African. Right. So it was tough every day. Nothing worked, and yes.
So that's where you developed your pain tolerance.
Exactly. No. Yes, for sure. Yeah, it contributes. It contributed a lot to it. But then when I came back to Switzerland, everything was easier.
And how do you balance the work life? How do you find that balance in your life between work and playing?
We always say like hard decision, easy life, easy decision, hard life. Meaning that if you at the start you say, okay, business is the priority, I will check for the rest after. Then life is super easy. So this is what I did from the start.
And what do you like to do when you have downtime to relax?
Thinking about other business ideas, trying to find the right people and whatever co-founders or and making it work. Yeah.
How did it feel when you guys got your first booking?
It was a friend.
So you were cheating.
Not much excitation, but I think we had something like the first month 40 clients.
Okay.
And we are lucky, by the way, because our business relies a lot on Google AdWords. So most of it is organic growth because everyone is Googling cleaning lady Zurich or cleaning lady Geneva. And so we had the first clients through this. And then after it was a matter of combining all marketing channels and finding the bubbles of clients we want to target. Yeah.
You mentioned that you met with social agencies, and it sounded like you had this idea or intention to try to provide work for those who are perhaps disconnected or recent arrivals or unable to get, for whatever reason, regular employment. How are you giving back today now that the model's working so well the way you do have it running?
What do you mean by giving back or?
Well, you're rather successful, yeah, by your own admission.
Yes.
Okay. And the world still has some pretty big problems out there, and minorities and people with, let's call them educational deficits.
Yes. Okay. So
there's still a large need, in other words.
Exactly. One of our goals beyond our DNA, which is like to give more work, higher pay raise, and taking back everyone from the black market, is we want to build the Robin's Academy. So Robin, the friend of Batman.
Not Robin Hood.
Not to train, but we want to have like a foundation. We are not allowed to train because we do private placement. We are not the employer. But we would like a foundation doing this and maybe trying to find the funding for it so that we can directly take people in needs and train them and then onboarding them. That would be the next step because at some point we won't have enough cleaning ladies of good quality to grow. So we will have to do and to train them in order to, and so it's a social project again. Yeah.
We were talking before a little bit, and you told me that you really believe that mindfulness is very important for business. How do you do it? How do you implement that in your everyday work life?
So I think like being in the flow is the most wonderful thing that a human being can experience because it's just combining like the tension you have towards your goals and the happiness you have to be in the moment. And I think finding the flow is something that everyone should look for, both for happiness, reaching goals, entrepreneurship, whatever. And it's super hard. Some tried meditation, some trying extreme sports. There are many ways to reach it. And I really like this new trend of in the Silicon Valley where people are trying to use psychedelic drugs to check if this can improve their mindfulness. I'm part of the research study of the Imperial College, the Berkeley Foundation, to check to which extent there is a placebo effect in the macrodosing of LSD. After this research, we'll know it's a non-clinical study, but we can know to which extent it's just because people are anticipating it or because of the substance. It has been demonstrated over the last 2 years that it's really, really, really not harmful and that it's actually very, very good for your brain because it connects parts of your brain that are not usually connected. And it makes you so self-aware of this self-talk, this mental chatter I was telling about, that is preventing you to be in the moment. And so if you are present because you're not permanently building your ego or tortured by thoughts thoughts from the past or the future, then you're here. And I think like psychedelics have a great future. We just need to, the third wave, as we call that, of new people being involved in the psychedelic drugs need to be really cautious in the way they talk about it, because we hear a lot of bad things about it from the 60s with Nixon, who were just, for political reasons, by the way, put a ban on all the psychedelic drugs. But it was not from a scientific perspective, because it can bring a lot of good things for the world, and being able to manage our ego, I think, is a key to success and common understanding.
Hi. So my question is about, yeah, of course. So my question is about how this entire idea got started, how you evaluated it. You said you started talking with your co-founder and he said, hey, I have this great idea. What happened then? What is like the process? Did you do a canvas? After the canvas, you jumped right into it? Did you do a value curve? What was like the process until you started doing, okay, now we're set, let's start actually doing, we have planned enough?
So, like, everything took 2 days, and really, we checked on Google if there was no competitor, but we had, like, before executing, we didn't overthink. I think it's a mistake that many entrepreneurs, and including me with my new projects, are doing. You tend to overthink and do business plans, and no, you just have to execute the stuff to meet the right people, and to get the knowledge, and turn it into a company. But this consultant way of seeing things doesn't help. Actually, it's the enemy of starting a startup. It's really like when you overthink, like in the end, it's pure luck, to be completely honest. It's 19, like we say, we always try to find reason why a startup is successful. But to be completely honest with you, so planets need to be aligned that, like, forget the business plans. Just do it. You have to expose yourself to randomness. And if it doesn't work, you have to expose yourself to randomness again. And if it doesn't work, you have to expose yourself to randomness again. And it's always like this. But if you don't try, I mean, to have like a sustainable project with a good, very bright future, you really need to just be lucky. And that's this. You don't need to be smart to be good. Really, you don't need to be good to be an entrepreneur.
But you have to work hard and execute.
You have to work hard in any case, but again, it's a matter of ecosystem. Yeah. Sometimes you just know the right people, and it works.
It's all about timing. I mean,
timing too, but yeah, exactly, yeah.
And the fact that there's competition is a good sign. I mean, in your case, there wasn't competition.
There wasn't competition, but we calibrated the successful model from abroad, so it was likely to work.
Right.
So it was less like a missionary approach. So yeah, yeah, in the end, it's still, you don't know the market fit until you try. Right. So
I really love that you mentioned flow, because for the last years I've been obsessed with flow and how to get into a state of flow, and how what I do, breath work, visualization, move the body, cold resistance, for example. I love that. But I was more wondering about your opinion, but thanks for asking. How do you intend to implement a state of flow within or among your employees on a regular basis? Have you also thought of, say, breath work or auto-suggestion, visualization? And a lot of what you said actually reminded me of things that I've learned at Mind Valley from Vishen Lakhiani. I don't know whether you're familiar with it. And he also talks a lot about flow and how to merge, being fully present in the now, being happy with the now, and having a clear vision that pulls you forward. So I was wondering whether if these aspects play a role in implementing a state of flow with your employees as well.
To be honest, I think right now, the only thing we do is to share the passion and to make them passionate about the goals. It's not only telling them, oh, we want to reach this 100 million turnover. This is good. They know they're going to have a higher salaries than the market in the end. Okay, that's one thing. But it's about like sharing the values we have, the fact that we really do genuinely have, we do care and have an empathy for customers, and they do have it. All my 12 guys in the operations, the customer support, they do an amazing work because they really do care, and they care about the maids. We are really close to them, really close to them. Like we know them, like we have them on the phone every day, all the 1,500 maids, and so it's about being in the flow, so being passionate and being on the same page with clients and maids. And I think this is when you work in these healthy conditions, then it's good. It's not like people being frustrated, they don't connect. And in a startup, you really see quickly if they don't connect. So yeah, and being hands-on, by the way, and doing things yourself is a good way to be in the flow. Because like if you go to Lausanne, you can visit it's like a trading floor. They have the maids and the client on the phone, and they are like, they just completely in it, you know, and they know exactly what to do when. I mean, it's really, it put them in the flow. So all this is combined. We don't like implement technical stuff like holotropic breath work or visualization or whatever. I would like to, but it's really far from our everyday preoccupation. I think we can do it through other ways, and I need to convince my co-founder about this.
Well, it's also a personal choice, and each person has a different way of
exactly.
of connecting to that.
This mindfulness stuff is really personal. We don't implement it as such in the company for the moment.
But the fact that you, I guess, assume that you talk about it, it's part of who you are and the way you live, it reflects on other people as well. Yeah,
I really don't talk much about it in my, maybe the employees will watch this video, but it's something like this person. I would like to share more about it, but I think that's enough. They are the right level of flow right now. They are enough in the moment, so I cannot.
So you work them hard enough that you can only focus on now.
Exactly.
So I have two questions. The first one is about being an entrepreneur, starting a business in an area where something already exists somewhere else. I think one of the barriers to entry that I think about as starting something new is where it already exists somewhere else, and maybe it's not a unique enough idea because it's already been done, so maybe it's not worth doing. Did you think that was a barrier to entry when you first started, and did that thought come through your mind where, well, this stuff exists everywhere else, it's just a matter of time before it comes here, let's not start that?
So precisely the opposite, meaning that so it was existing abroad, and we said, okay, maybe it's a good exit opportunity someday to sell to one of our big competitors who raised more than 70 millions. So it was like an opportunity for us to see that the model was working abroad, both from an exit perspective and because it works. And we learned a lot about the bankruptcy of Homejoy. They had all wrong, and we really learned a lot. We are precisely the opposite of Homejoy. So I think it was reassuring. But along the way, after these 2 days, during the execution, we were developing the platform and stuff. We realized that there were some small competitors in Switzerland, and we were pale. We were completely destroyed. Me and my co-founder were like, okay, so we stop or not? Like, because I remember this company, Service at Home in Geneva. Now it's bankrupt, like all the other ones. Service at Home. We were like, oh, look, it's exactly what we want to do. It's like, and we were really stressed. But in the end, we called them. We met the founders, and they were miles away from the vision we had. And so if it's happening, and even if you have a competitor in your market, go and meet her. It's really like important. If you meet the founders, you can understand the threats, the level of the threats.
Well, also there's the side that ideas are cheap, it's the execution that counts. So the fact that you're talking about, if it was easy, someone else would have already done it.
Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Like it's, yes, it's, I think this sentence, I mean, you can apply it for a lot of situations, but in the end, it's a matter of being in the right ecosystem. Right. So.
And the second question, I remember you mentioned that you had a lot of respect for African entrepreneurs that you met when you were at your time there. So what is it about your time in Africa that are your takeaways, and also from the people that you met there, that's unique about them in the entrepreneurial sense?
Well, there are many things, but maybe I can focus on two things in the way they negotiate, for instance. They accept the silence. It's like, I'm still very bad at that, but in a negotiation, you have to listen, and you have to let the silence enter into the negotiation. Don't be scared of silence. And that's the first big learning. Just listen, be calm. And the second big thing is to be more aggressive than their counterparts. If you are a little bit more aggressive, it gives you an edge. It can be both physically or verbally. Like just a little bit more, just like not being aggressive. It really gives you, because I met a lot of Nigerian people there, and the way they do things are really like miles away from the way we do it in Switzerland. It goes without saying, but I think it gives you an edge in the negotiation, listening and being aggressive, being more aggressive than the counterpart.
I have a question about your USP right now and how you fend off new entries. For example, you said, okay, there, and I think Laudet, maybe Germany, which has like a company who has 70 million raised, and right now says, Switzerland also speaks German. How do you shut off right now them? How do you prepare for that? What is like, how do you keep your competitive advantage?
I think you're implicitly referring to Helpling with Rocket Internet behind, is that correct? No, because, okay, so Helpling entered our markets, so they raised more than 70 million, as far as I know, and it's a real threat, of course. They are way bigger, they are in like more than 10 countries, but I know the assets they have because I was supposed to buy Bouquet Tiger Switzerland. So I know how they work, and I know what they do, and I know the quality of the people they selected, and I know their mindset, being very digital, managing everything from Berlin, and not being hands-on. And we are the opposite of that. I wish them really, really good luck, even with like millions. I'm happy that they are here.
And then if I already have go ahead.
One last question up here in the front.
Okay, so I'm interested in knowing how you manage complaints, because in the end, it can be very digital and it can be very well thought. You still have to have processes in place when people meet, like on both sides, I suppose. I would wonder how you deal with that, because it should be different with 1,500 people one side and all these clients than having a small group.
So that's true. Right now we have more than 700 cleanings per day. So I let you imagine the number of problems we have. Like, oh, I don't find the key, or the cat is dead, I broke the vacuum cleaner, and so we have all kind of, we learn a lot about people. That's crazy, but clients as well. I have a snake, or allergies to snake. I mean, all kind of possible combinations you can imagine. So the first, like, we provide an insurance. So if there is like a robbery, and then we check. Of course, we assess if it was true or not. So one case where we had the client and the maid in the same room to discuss, but we always find solutions for damages. every day it happens. We have an insurance for that, so it's covered. But we check all claims, of course. Basically we insure, but it's every day. That's our core business. That's what our operation team are doing every day, and that's case by case. That's hard. That's hands-on, hands in the dirt. That's it. Yeah.
Is it many shoulders or specialized people who do that?
Yes, I mean we have a COO for the operations, and he has a team of dedicated service customer support managers, and we always some cases they discuss in the team, or for big cases they discuss directly, of course, with us. Like every 3 days, we as founders we are asked about, what do we do in this case? Then we decide and we take the risk, but we always find a solution for our customers.
So to wrap up, we always like to ask our guests a short series of questions, simple questions with hopefully simple answers. So just the first thing that comes to mind. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just the first thing that comes to your mind or your preference. So what is one item that you own that you would never sell?
My bike, because it's very convenient in Zurich.
What's more important, strength, speed, or stamina?
Strength.
Which historical figure do you most admire? Current or past?
Yeah, that's the problem. It's the past.
Who's someone that inspires you?
I would say Richard Branson.
Yes. What is the most favorite season of the year?
Winter.
When was the last time that you tried something new?
Now.
Team or single founder?
Team.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Beer or wine?
None of them.
Your favorite app on your phone?
Uber. Because Batmaid app is not released yet. It will come this year, by the way.
What's something on your bucket list?
Launching the B2B.
And if you could have the attribute of an animal, what would you choose?
Strength.
So thank you so much for being with us tonight, Eric. Thank you for everything that you shared with us.